The Pit, one of college basketball's great destinations, and tonight on Fox Sports 1, the top of the Mountain West Conference is up for grabs. It's Boise State, the Broncos. They're number one, but look at New Mexico, what they have done on the year. They are 17-2. Hi there, folks. They're expecting 14,000 plus here again tonight at this great destination. You can hear him, Coach Joe Cravens. My name is Darren Sutton. Welcome back on campus tonight. This sells college basketball.
What a great venue to play in, the iconic Pit. Two great teams. I believe this is going to be a dandy.
Well, it's going to be a dandy because it means a lot. Look, when you think about the net ranking, there's 5 teams inside the top 35, but you also want to move to the top. New Mexico wants to beat them. They've lost 4 in a row to Boise State.
Boise State trying to stay at the top with a win. New Mexico trying to move up with a win. This is a great, great basketball league this year.
Impact players. Pick a couple. Go.
Degenhart, last year's freshman of the year in the Mountain West Conference. Max Rice coming off a career-high 29 points where he went 6 of 7 from the three-point line.
Those names, House, Mashburn, familiar names, but the sons of stars are now writing their own stories in college basketball. Jalen House is a lot of fun to watch when he's out on the floor. The student section is full all the way to the top. Again, they average, within conference, more than 14,000 fans, number one in the Mountain West.
Well, they had their first sellout here in 13 years at 15,400. So the crowds are back in the Pit. Big-time basketball, 17-2, dynamic backcourt. There's a lot to come see here in Albuquerque.
Things get tangled up right away with the jump. Alternating possession, they go ahead and just inbound the basketball. We'll introduce you, in case you're not familiar with these teams, to some key names. A man inbounding the basketball, Josiah Alec, the tall, athletic number 53, as he fires it into Jalen House. Alec, a big part of turning this team around, his presence up front.
Big-time rebounding, the conference leading offensive rebounder. Watch this great matchup between point guard Shaver and House.
House handles the offense, but he's a wild hair. That's the best way we know to put it. Mashburn steps inside the 3 and drops the first bucket home.
Maybe the best middle game in all of college basketball. Not a deep threat because he is almost automatic when he gets it into about 17 feet.
Beautiful stroke to that basket. Mashburn averages 18. Grabs about 3 rebounds a game. He's good for 20. Just about every other outing. Abo Jr. turns the corner. A lid on the bucket as that one rolls in and out. 2 great coaches and one a little bit more of a veteran, certainly, but Leon Rice, a dean of this conference in his 13th year, one of the winningest coaches in this conference. Of course, outside of Coach Fisher at San Diego State, has a great attitude and a great edge. He's built something special at Boise State.
Well, he's the all-time winningest coach now at Boise State, his 13th year in, passing an old buddy and rival of mine, Bobby Dye, and Bobby Dye was a heck of a coach, and so was Leon Rice.
His son grabs the rebound and heads back the other way. It's Max Rice. Rice lit up Nevada in a win last outing. Launches from distance. It's firm off the back of the iron.
And that's where he was shooting it from. He had 21 points against Nevada last Tuesday night in the first half. Ended up with 29.
Jalen House with the miss, averages 17 out of Phoenix, Arizona. Dad Eddie House, all-time leading scorer in ASU history, as Rice lowers that shoulder but comes up empty.
Well, not only did he hit jump shots en route to that 29 points, he hit a whole bunch of those little leaping leaners around the basket. 0 for 2 tonight.
Trying to find that stroke. Mashburn after dropping the first one in. Foul a moment ago was on Rice. The lone foul in this game as we get started. 2 minutes in. 2 of the better rebounding teams in the entire Mountain West. Boise State +6 and the Lobos +5.5. So look for rebounding to be a big, big part of this game. And look for Tyson Degenhart to take over the game when he's right. The Spokane, Washington native averages 14 with 6 boards. But he shoots it more than anybody else on his team and 50% from the floor. Coming off a 15.6 rebound game in their win over Nevada, his 8th straight double-figure game. And he came up strong defensively, a nice stand that time. House will gamble, and it'll pay off a lot defensively. Well, leads the league in steals and is second in the nation in steals, and he can dominate a game at 6 foot at
both ends of the court, scoring it and doing what he almost did there with takeaways. Almost 3 steals a game. You see the Lobos choosing not to come double team.
Rebound grabbed underneath by Alec. He's a senior. Transfer from KC out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Allison's there. Folo unable to fall down. Morris Udeze, who transferred in from Wichita State. New Mexico missing their last 5 shots after opening with a Mashburn bucket.
A little bit of overhandle maybe by Max Rice there coming off that career game.
That's Najee Smith with the miss. At Lewis Clark High School in Spokane, averages 10. The big fella, that's something they didn't have last year, but it's swatted away. New Mexico is a big-time rebounding team. That needs to be pointed out.
Well, they've got the top 2 rebounders in the league, and Josiah Alec, the top offensive rebounder in the league.
Oh, Shaver can play, and he's been doing it for a long... Look, he's chasing nearly 2,000 points. What a player, Marcus Shaver Jr.
How about this? The 2 top defensive rebounders in the league on the floor right now. Udeze, which doesn't surprise you, but Marcus Shaver is the other one who averages 6 defensive rebounds a game.
Nash with a beautiful touch as he found Johnson, the junior with the bucket. Javante averages 5 a game.
The second highest scoring backcourt in all of America, averaging over 35 points a game.
Rice turns the corner, fights through some alley, and gets a roll on the road.
Now Rice went 6 of 7 from the 3-point line and put a show on because he was shooting from the parking lot, but he is a great finisher around the basket as well, as you just saw.
He's a great defender. You can watch him work right now. Mashburn saw something, then lost his footing. Turned it over. Shaver, long distance dedication, but he comes up empty. He's got a bodyguard underneath. There he is again. Degenhart with the rebound and the bucket.
Degenhart is just one of those guys who has a great feel for the game. Not a huge athlete, but a guy that just kind of sees the game a step ahead. Kind of the old saying about Larry Bird. He's kind of got a Larry Bird type game.
Trying to find the stroke. It's not there right now.
Shaver with one of his 6 defensive rebounds he averages a game. As I said, the second highest defensive rebounder in the league.
We are off to an energetic and offensive start. Tyson Degenhart with his presence as an offensive rebounding machine, and he's shown that all year long. Coach actually dropped a Kevin McHale comp on him. All you youngsters out there, look it up. The start that Boise State wanted, and look, they'd love another night like they got a couple of days ago from Max Rice. He absolutely lit up Nevada. As a matter of fact, 29 points, 6 of 7 from distance. He was incredible, threw in 5 rebounds just a few days ago. Was dramatically impactful in that game, but he does it no matter if he scores or not.
Well, I was there, and he was hotter in a Texas parking lot from the 3-point line, but as I said, he is a great finisher around the basket. And Tyson Degenhart, last year's freshman of the year in the Mountain West Conference, does a little bit of everything as an undersized center, 6'7", 242. He can pass it, he can shoot it, and he can rebound it. He has a great inside-out game.
9 times he was the Mountain West Freshman of the Week. Last year, he was the Mountain West Freshman of the Year, and you can see in these wins, in the middle of this 5-game winning streak, what he's been doing. Boise State 4 of 11 from the floor to start things. New Mexico, they just 2 in 11 attempts. That will up the tally. That's Josiah Alec from Lincoln, Nebraska. Back in high school, he played football. He could catch it off the line. He also was a great high jumper as a young man.
Well, the Broncos switched 2 or 3 handoffs there, and they ended up with a mismatch. Marcus Shaver on Josiah Alec there, and Alec just very simply and calmly took him to the rack. Max Rice can make more acrobatic shots. I remember when his dad was talking about taking him out of high school, and he said the kid just makes all kinds of these shots. I'm not sure where he got that. I can remember specifically his dad saying that, and now we're getting a chance to see it.
With a little bit of emphasis that time, big Morris Udeze took it to the house.
Boy, that was sawmill strong, too, going to his left hand, one dribble. I'm telling you, he has been quite the addition.
And Rice had a yellow brick road to jog down with that bucket.
I tell you, this Boise State team has great team chemistry. So do the Lobos, but Boise State has that just feel for when a guy back cuts, and you saw Degenhardt there kind of display his passing prowess.
Udeze with a chance for three as he goes to the line.
Udeze coming off his 4th straight double-double, 7 double-doubles for the year. No one has done that since 2013 and 14. And I'm telling you, he is a man's man in that paint.
So if you've been watching this game, folks, what are you noticing? These teams take it to the basket. I include the guards there. We're not seeing a bunch of players lining up for threes. As a matter of fact, folks, there's only been 1 3-point attempt so far.
Well, I asked both coaches today, I said, is it my imagination or has this league become much more physical this year? And both coaches agreed. And Udeze has an awful lot to do with that as a newcomer in the league. But it is very physically strong this year.
Yeah, you want to be careful. You don't want to call it traditional basketball. It's just the style that fits these players at this time for both these coaches. They don't line it up from distance.
A little bit of a mismatch here for Shaver. Remember when he was on a big guy, Alec, now he tried to take a big guy to the basket and didn't have much success.
16 of the 22 points scored in this contest have been in the paint. Udeze turned it over, tried to pass big to big there and gave it away.
Boise State, the leading defensive team in the league by both points allowed and defensive field goal percentage. They don't overwhelm you there. They just are a great position defensive team. They're always kind of in the right place at the right time, led by Max Rice, a great off-the-ball defender.
The number 1 pace in this league is that of New Mexico. Boise is 5th as it pertains to pace. Great defensive stand. That's not an advised shot, certainly for Smith as he comes up empty. What do you got for us on our keys to the game?
Well, for Boise State, they've got to guard penetration. As you said, this is not going to be a game won or lost at the 3-point line. They don't want to get into a track meet with the Lobos. Boise State will play fast, not as fast as the Lobos. The Lobos need to rebound. Last time the Broncos were here, they had 25 offensive rebounds, and they have to control House at both ends. He can dominate a game at the defensive end and at the offensive end.
And a foul of frustration there. And that's, in part, one of the ways we talk about that key. His coach needs to control him, and the other team needs to control him. We'll see how it plays out. Back on another winning streak. This New Mexico team down a pair after losses to Fresno and UNLV. Then they went back to work 3 in a row, and this is one of the reasons. Jamal Mashburn Jr. threw the team right on his back. The key with this year's team is nobody has to be the star. They've got a bunch of them, but Mashburn certainly is.
Mashburn averaging just over 18 points. He has scored in double digits 40 straight games. He also has 7 20-point games this year. Jalen House, the 2nd leading scorer in the league after Mashburn. They are the most dynamic duo in the backcourt in the Mountain West Conference and 2nd in the entire nation, averaging 35 points between them.
The numbers for House last 3 as well.
The reigning player of the week in the league, 29 points in their win at San Diego State. And as I've said twice already, he can dominate you at both ends of the court.
Carry from a man who just hopped onto the floor, Jace Whiting, the freshman out of Burley, Idaho. What a great story it's been here, coming from Minnesota here to New Mexico, and in just a couple of short years, the quick turnaround for Richard Pitino.
And he said he not only loves his team, that he loves Albuquerque, that he loves the people, he loves the lifestyle. And he said, I thought it would take me a while to kind of adapt. He said, I loved it from the day I got here.
Forsling just comes on, number 3 in that white jersey. He shares the basketball. He'll try to grab it underneath, and able to do so. KJ Jenkins with the miss. The redshirt 5th-year senior out of Atlanta, Georgia. Earning some court time now.
Shaver with another rebound. Talk about a guy who has instincts for where the ball's going to be. That's Marcus Shaver at the defensive end.
Jenkins from distance. Off the back of the iron.
Jenkins is kind of that hired gun off the bench. He can really get it going from three. He had a stretch where in 5 games, straight games, he had 3 or more made threes this year.
Now there's a big statement and a chance for Najee Smith to go to the line.
Najee Smith, kind of an interesting story as well. Didn't start a game last year. Played in all but one. Didn't start the first 3 games, and then all of a sudden, boy, kind of became what I call a star role player on this team. Boise Broncos have 4 guys averaging double figures, and Smith at 9'5", almost 5 guys averaging double figures for Boise State.
Along the way was a junior college All-American. He misses that chance at 3. 66% free throw shooter. That goes to the line quite a bit. Just about halfway through this first half. 4-point Boise State lead. Hammered home. There's the high jumper right there.
Josiah Alec throwing that one down like a fat kid on a seesaw there. Man, there was no question what was going to happen there. What an athletic move off of 2 feet, both hands. That was emphatic, I think, to key a word.
Said he was 5'10" his freshman year and skinny as can be. Said I got a little bit of bulk by my senior year. They're checking the shot clock, by the way.
They might ought to check the rim. He just about tore that one out of the backboard. The leading offensive rebounder in the league and the second leading rebounder overall in the league between he and Odeze. I tell you what, they don't miss many off of the glass. But, you know, it looks like the Lobos are on a run. You look up, Boise State still clinging to that 2-point lead.
Orosling slots that one down. Really aggressive play. Not only the block there, but Abo going to the bucket with a shove. Really aggressive.
Well, you talked about it, Darren, early in the game. These 2 teams are just fearless going to the basket. I mean, it is almost like you're trying to get to a layup and a fist fight all at the same time.
Abo up with it into the corner. He does shoot from distance. That's not a huge shot. A lot, more than half his shots, though he stands about 6'8". He's a distant shooter.
Well, he's their leading 3-point shooter for the year. In the first 5 games of conference play, he was shooting 58%. Now, he's coming off a game where he just went 0 for 2, but still over 50% in league play.
A chance to go to the line for 3. K.J. Jenkins, the veteran.
K.J. Jenkins, one of the co-captains along with Mashburn here. He has become a kind of a super sub off the bench for this team.
There's the bench supporting the leader of the bench scoring. As a matter of fact, 268 points off the bench last year led this conference. Players like that are invaluable, aren't they?
I used to call those guys star role players when I was a head coach, Darren, and every good team has to have them. Has to have 2 or 3 of them. Guys that just know exactly what you're supposed to do, whether it's off the bench, whether it's just being a rebounder, a star role player. You'll never have a good team without a couple star role players.
K.J. Jenkins working defensively now. 6th man, but at home he's maybe the 9th. There are 8 siblings at home for him. Smith along the baseline. Beautiful pass. And it's turned into a bucket. What a gorgeous pass to Degenhardt.
And what a move by Degenhardt. You know, he's a kid that doesn't look like he can jump over a small-town phone book, and he didn't there, but he just made it go in the hoop.
It is unorthodox. There's no doubt about it.
No question. And he last year's freshman of the year in the league, honorable mention all-league, and a pretty good defender as well. Look at Degenhardt here again, not a high flyer, holding that ball way out away from Udeze. Just has a knack for making it go in. He has got a great feel for the game. You know, he's one of those guys, Darren, you go into a rec center and guys look at you and say, no, we're not going to pick you on our team. We'll take this guy over here. I mean, he is just a heck of a player. And again, not a real impressive looking athlete. But boy, you look at the end of the game, what he's got going, and he is pretty solid.
I'm going to tell him you said that. Degenhardt and Rice, 12 points combined, all others 4 for Boise State. Great hustle as he tumbled out of bounds there by Udeze.
Abo coming off a game where he didn't shoot it very well against Nevada, only 3 of 9, 0 for 2 from 3. Like I say, he'd been having a heck of a conference season before then.
About keeping his presence, some dribbling exercises, and Mashburn closes out the drill.
And every coach and probably every avid basketball fan in the world knows the best time to take a three-point shot is after an offensive rebound, because the defense is not matched up, and that's exactly what happened then.
Kareem Masek was part of it. He just came on 34 in the Lobos jersey, keeping his presence among them.
And the Lobos take a lead. I think that's their first lead of the game.
Unbelievable what he can do amongst the towers.
I'm telling you, every time he hits one of those, I remember that conversation I related about his dad. I don't know where he gets that stuff. He said he just throws them up and then go in, and that's exactly what he does. He just throws them up and then go in.
2 days before Christmas, 2 years ago, the pandemic year, he dropped 22 points on New Mexico and had 7 rebounds. Really lit him up in a win.
Well, when Boise State came in here last year, they not only beat them, they've won 4 straight games over the Lobos, but they had 25 offensive rebounds.
That means they missed a lot of shots.
Oh, I guess.
Rice turns it over. Stars have arrived in this contest, certainly. They asked for Mashburn to clean things up, and oh, did he, 5 steps beyond the line. And then Rice, doesn't matter where he takes it, this is not your conventional guard, folks. Not at all. Furman thus far tied at 18. Look, once you get to conference play, you look around, you say, did we take care of our business in non-con play? In other words, did we raise the platform of all teams in our conference to do so? The answer is yes. And so now what happens, when you look at the top 35 inside of the Mountain West, top 35 net rankings, there are 5 teams that find themselves in this conference. Yes, now they rise the whole platform for the conference when they play one another.
Well, there's 2 of those 5 teams that, between you and I, weren't very good last year, Nevada and New Mexico, and I don't think anyone expected them to make that jump this year into the top 5 in the league and in that net ranking. This is just plain and simple a very good basketball league this year.
That one swatted out of bounds, some presence.
How about the dynamic duo of House and Mashburn? Only 2 of 7 between them. House has not scored yet.
Mohamed Silla had the block, and then they turned it into a triple on the other end.
Max Rice in his 5th year, and boy, is he having fun. This is an old Boise State team. 4 of their top 6 guys are in their 5th year, and they play that way. Last year's regular season champion, conference tournament champion. That's only been done 3 times in the 24-year history of the Mountain West.
Rice has 11 points, by the way. Boise State 23-4 when Rice scores in double figures. When his son does big scoring, Dad's team wins quite a bit.
You know, if I was his dad, I'd say, why don't you score in double figures kind of like all the time? That is Boise State's 5th turnover. They're coming off 2 games where they had less than 10 in both 7 and 8.
Jalen comes up short on a 3-point attempt.
House is really lucky he didn't get a flop call.
How about the trampoline bounce off the bucket? Friendly bounce and a chance at 3.
I'm telling you, that's what you call back home the tallest hog at the trough there in Morris Udeze. Boy, he is a load around that basket at 6'8", 240. The league's leading rebounder, 5th leading scorer. I mean, what an unbelievable addition he has been to this Lobo program.
Houston, Texas, Fort Bend Travis High School, then went down to Florida for a year at Monteverde Academy. Great athletics, basketball, baseball, soccer.
You know, it's interesting. He is this team's
third leading scorer and leading rebounder, and that is exactly what he was at Wichita State last year.
Allsick with another offensive rebound.
How about that?
The liftoff was there, but there was a wall right in front. No foul called. Mohamed Silla, 6'11" out of the Ivory Coast. There he is, that man amongst the mosh pit, putting it home. It's Rice.
He is like a man on a mission here of late. I mean, he just plays, and he's got a bulging disc in his back. He's playing through quite a bit of pain. He has trouble getting his shoes on for practice.
Mashburn at the back of the iron.
Max Rice on one of those. How did he make that shot type thing? That's kind of out of a playground playbook there, and he just does it consistently. Coming off a career high 29, where he was 6 of 7 from the three-point line, and then hit a variety of those runners, scoopers, those hoopty-doopers. I'm not sure what you call those shots he makes in the pass.
Mashburn, unbelievable. Did not line his eyes up on that iron until he spun and let go of the basketball. Watch this.
He has so much confidence there. And I'm telling you, that I believe that was Abo at 6'8", who's guarding him. And, I mean, that was not like over a small guard. And Abo is like 6'8" with long arms.
23 out. Mashburn has 8. 3 of 7 from the floor. Udeze has 6. On the other end, Rice already with 13 points.
And New Mexico making a little adjustment on Degenhardt. They're faking like they're going to come double team to try to get him out of rhythm a little bit. Didn't really help there with the leading scorer for the Broncos, last year's freshman of the year.
They're letting them play, by the way.
They are letting them
play. Banging there a moment ago.
Yes, sir. They were banging right there as well.
Dent with the triple. The heir apparent to lead this team as their point guard is Donovan Dent. That's his 3.
Well, very limited minutes. He's the second leading assist guy on this team. California's Mr. Basketball. You can tell he is going to be a really good player. And the lead just continues to go back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, once House moves on to the professional ranks, this is Dent's team. Mohamed Silla, who has limited playing time, drops that one home. He averages just 2, but he's working tonight.
How about that pass by Degenhardt there? Feeding the post is gone by way of the unicorn, and here he is, the post guy for the Broncos, and he made that look like he was falling out of bed. What a great post pass. And here we go, the man's man on the low block. Boy, he just comes at you. I'm telling you what, when you're going to guard him, you better be ready for a couple bumps and bruises after the game, because he is maybe the most physical player in a very physical league.
And here's the best part about his game, playing physically. He goes to the line all the time. As a matter of fact, this New Mexico team goes to the line all the time. They attempt 25 free throws a game. That's top 10 in the land.
It is, and they have a unique game in that they only average 5 made threes a game. They are inside, and pull-up jump shot oriented.
No, you're exactly right. As a matter of fact, their 2-point attempts, they go more than anybody else.
Yes, yes. Well, they're 9th in the nation in free throws attempted and 6th in makes. And that's the reason why they go inside and play a very physical brand of basketball. And then the 2 guards take you off the dribble, and they are very hard to stay in front of.
Jalen comes to see us as he tries to keep it in bounds. Both these teams certainly enjoying the energy of this contest, which is not disappointed. One of the stars coming into this game, Jalen House, has been quiet. He doesn't have a single point, 27 all, but there has been a strong presence in the paint. Some old school basketball.
Well, this game is not for the faint of heart. You see Degenhardt there on a sawmill strong post move. Max Rice on a very instinctive back cut there. And the man's man, Udize there, powering it to the basket. And this one caps the cooker, as they say back home, with a very emphatic two-hand monkey dunk there.
It was a great shot of Coach Mike Burns, one of the key assistants for Leon Rice. It's Mike Burns, it's Tim Duria, who coached at Utah State. Roberto Burgesson, who was one of the greats of all time, a Boise State Hall of Fame. That's a great staff for Leon Rice.
Roberto Burgesson, when he was playing in high school, I was the Idaho head coach. I've made one of those. Like if the first is the first day you could make a home visit, I made a home visit to him at midnight to be the first in his home, and I finished about 4th in recruiting him, but I was the first one in his home.
Well, look at Shavers turn the corner, tried an athletic move and came up empty.
Shaver has not scored it a lot in the last 2 games. He's the 10th leading scorer in the league, 5th in assists, but he's coming off a game where he only had 5. Of course, that's the game Max Rice had 29. The game before that at Wyoming, Shaver flirted with a triple-double, 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. 9 rebounds, how about that for a 6'2 guard?
Well, both point guards have been quiet.
They have been.
That'll change. Beautiful pass, big man gives it up to Johnson. Speaking of that point guard, there he is. House turns the corner. 3:20. That one is nearly turned over. 3 on the shot clock. And a great defensive stand for the best defensive team in this conference.
That was a great possession of defense by the Broncos. Not once, not twice, not 3 times guarding a dribble drive. And they just kind of do that. You know, I watch them and I think, why are they so good defensively, Darren? And they don't overwhelm you. They just stay in front of you, you know, and kind of fill the gaps and kind of get to where they're supposed to help-wise. They are just very, kind of unimpressively very good defensively.
Shaver lines one up and House is right on him like Velcro.
Those two are having quite the matchup. They're kind of canceling one another out, to be honest with you.
Rice looking for an option. It's not there. Shot clock at 3. Shaver underneath. Degenhardt.
How about that? Back to back. Back to back. That shows you a little bit about this game, the level of intensity, how hard both these teams are playing. Really nice individual defense there by House, avoiding the foul. House, where he is the league's 2nd leading scorer, he does a whole lot of other things, as we know. 2nd in the nation in steals and very good individual defense.
That one rings in and out. A little bit short for Mashburn. He's got 8 points. He's 3 of 8 from the floor in his 16 minutes of work. On the other end, just short from Smith, who may get another chance. Oh, and he misses his 2nd chance, but he's got a teammate there for him.
Just ganging the glass are the Broncos. And again, I've said both these teams are pretty good rebounding teams. Boise State +6 on the glass, and New Mexico just behind them at +5.
There's Mr. House.
In the house.
Taking it to the bucket, a beautiful look.
When I think of he and Mashburn, I think of that old saying, if the right one don't get you, the left one will, because they are quite the 1-2 punch.
Yeah, a moment ago, by the way, a nice rebound and bucket. Kobe Young, who has played limited playing time in this one, so he hops onto the floor and deepens that Boise State bench.
What's interesting, Coach Patino said one of his goals was to get to Boise State's bench, and he's done that, and the bench has held serve.
Henry Bibby is Jalen's coach in high school, which was great, or I should say Mike Bibby was his coach in high school. Henry's his grandfather. You could see the family scoring. Eddie was amazing at ASU, and that's the the talk over the holidays when they talk about who's done what.
Eddie's the second all-time leading scorer at ASU. Look at that. That's a whole bunch of points.
Uncle Mike coached him at Shadow Mountain High School, where he had 30 points and 14 rebounds back in the Arizona State Championship game. His team rallied from down 18 to win that title, and Jalen was a big part of it. With Uncle Mike as the coach.
Sure, family affair.
Under 2. Rice has done this all night long. He doesn't even need a tip in.
Oh my gosh, how about that? Could you call that a jump hook? Could you call that a scoop? I'm not sure what you call that, but he just keeps doing it and it keeps going in.
15 points. 15 here in the first half.
He had 21 in the first half last Tuesday against Nevada.
Mashburn with an answer. Just off the mark.
Degenhart just getting a rebound, not even jumping, just picking it up as it left the rim.
That time it's a dime as he shares it with Smith. Rice is owning this game. Beautiful assist that time, sharing the basketball. 1 minute. Jalen, a little step back.
Shaver with his 4th rebound in this half. There he goes. That's his noise. Talk about great pull-up shots. That was one of the best. That looked a little bit like Mashburn there.
That's just pass here from Max.
Max Rice, the middle of the Rice boys. His younger brother is redshirting on the team this year. Brock and his older brother, Cade. I'd love to get Leon and Max talking about their 2-on-2 games out in the family driveway. That becomes pretty entertaining.
There's the evolution of the impact he's had on this team.
You know, when you look at that and talking to his dad, Leon, he says, you know, I see those numbers and I think, why didn't I play him more in the years past? Oh, he's having a great year, and he deserves it. He's worked very hard. Like I say, he's playing through pain with a bulging disc in his back. And what he doesn't get enough credit for, I think he is the best off-the-ball defender on his team, and his team is the best defensive team in the league.
He lit up Texas A&M in a big win earlier this year. Mashburn. Josiah right behind him, but he can't get it to go.
As I said earlier, this is not a game tonight for the faint of heart. That ball goes up on the glass, and it is like a gang fight to see who's going to get it.
That is 10 rebounds for Alec. 10 already. Gave it to the baseline. Somehow he found the magic to put that one home.
Okie dokie on that one.
Mashburn right back off the glass. Equally pretty. One more chance. Rice, it has been his half. He comes up empty. It doesn't matter. 15 points for he and his team and a 6-point lead on the road. This is exactly where they want it to be. They're playing the kind of defense that they hope they can play against the dangerous New Mexico team. And thanks to the man with the beard there making a strong statement. I'm glad this halftime, certainly. And then this second half is not going to disappoint. Joe and I back in Albuquerque in a moment. Incredible energy inside of this building, about a mile high in Albuquerque at the pit. And what we thought was going to be a good matchup has been a great matchup. Joe Cravens, Darren Sutton. And Joe, when we take a look at some of the numbers of this first half, certainly the battle in the paint is the key story. The quiet, noise of both point guards, that's another one.
Well, I'm not sure we're witnessing a basketball game or a gang fight here. I'll tell you what, this has been one of the most physical games I've seen for a while.
Taking a look at the shooting, you can see for Boise, 51%. 35% for New Mexico, and the three's not going to be a huge story in this game. Neither team can tell you they've leaned on it with success. The key in this game, though, has been Max Rice. 15 points, 7 of 11 from the floor, a couple of rebounds.
Well, Tuesday night against Nevada, he had 21 in the first half, ended up with 29. He's backing that up, and Degenhart just so clever and so smooth in that low block, and Mashburn That is his game. That pull-up from about 17 feet has got his name all over it. Come on back, folks. This one has been tighter than a new boot so far.
The beauty of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and its horizons and mountains. It's wonderful to take in. 37-31. Boise State's enjoying taking it in. Let's revisit some of your keys to the game and how they played out.
Well, we thought guard dribble penetration, and that's easier said than done for the Broncos. They've given up 26, but that's not too bad. Don't get into a track meet. We'll be lucky if this gets to the mid-60s here in this game. So pretty good there. Lobos have got a rebound. They're down 3 on the glass. Not awful. Control your house. New Mexico is led for only 2 minutes and 54 seconds.
And that Mr. House, because it's a play on words, obviously, only has 1 assist, and he is 1 of 5 from the floor with just 2 points. You can expect that to change in the second half.
Well, you would think so. Look for him to be hungry to get going here, coming off back-to-back games. The reigning player of the week in the Mountain West Conference, 29-20, and has yet to get on track here against this Boise State defense.
Hands up in the air, great block by Mashburn, playing the game properly. And it's turned over, coming back the other way.
Just a little mental mistake there by Mashburn. So both teams start off with a miscue, a misplay, so to speak. There, and after that first half, I keep reaching around for my seatbelt to get buckled in for the second half here. I tell you, that was a whale of a first half, and I expect this one to be just as physical and hard played.
Boise State 13-1 when leading at the half, as he's got a quick whistle.
And that's
Second
one of those
foul on House.
Excuse me, Darren. That's one of those fouls on House. As a coach, you say, you know, we want you to kind of anticipate that, but don't gamble. And that was a little bit more of a gamble than it was an anticipation.
And New Mexico is 2-1 when trailing at the half. They've only lost twice, so that's a number you can't go to too often. 2-1 when trailing. Boise State 13-1 when leading.
And the other point guard besides House for the Broncos, Shaver with 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist in that first half.
This has been their bread and butter, and they go right back to it.
Wow. I'm telling you, if you let him catch it that low, straddling the low block like that, Smith's got to start fighting him and not letting him get to that sweet spot there, because if he catches it there, you better bring a lunch and a lantern, because it's going to be a long night.
Udeze's got 9 points and a chance at 3, fighting for the board underneath. Abu puts it home and grabs the bucket as well.
Abu averages almost 5 rebounds a game. Boy, he went up sawmill strong on this one and pulled it out of the crowd. As I've said, when that ball goes up on the glass tonight, it is like a free-for-all.
Shabazzo Abo at the line. The Texas Tech transfer makes it a 3-point play and a thing of beauty.
He's 14 of 26 from the 3-point line in conference play, but not shot very well the last game or this game from the 3-point line.
Second foul on Udeze.
We're trying to go right back into Udeze with that diagonal up screen by the guard. Oh boy, has that turned into a controversial call where they've taken away the warning, and you've got to make a judgment call on that right off the bat. And boy, that could have just went either way. And I'm not saying it was a bad call. I'm just saying that new rule change has really put the officials in a tough spot, I think.
So Jalen tries to add to his point total. Jalen House, when sent to the line, and he goes there more than anyone else on his team as it pertains to guards. 82%. Check that, 84% on the year.
Well, he shot 113 free throws coming into this game. So as you say, he gets there quite a bit.
Crazy number for a guard.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of guards, how about that pass? One more pass to Rice. And it's an air ball. Leon Rice, Max Rice saying they tipped that basketball.
That was a good effort by House, because he kind of came out of nowhere to contest that, and that's where Max Rice breads his butter on that deep three from right there.
Really taken away from House. He'll get another chance at it. Shares it with his teammate. There's an assist. There's a triple. Mashburn.
And the key to all that is coming up with that 50-50 ball by Udeze, getting down on the ground with that 6'8", 240-pound frame. What a great hustle play.
3-point Boise State lead. Albo penetrates, shares it from distance. Will shoot there on occasion. Speaking of 50-50s, there's one taken away.
I tell you, Najee Smith has gone to work on the glass here in this half.
Rice will go to the line. That's 3 fouls on Jalen.
Max Rice, when he's not scoring, is drawing fouls in there because he just kind of comes at you. Look at this great team play there. Udeze on the floor, House with the extra pass to Mr. Middleman Mashburn there. Well, look the way he holds that follow through on that jump shot. I think that's so important to finish your shot and hold that follow through, and he does it about as good as anyone I've seen for a while.
Well, and in this big game, meet Donovan Dent, the true backup point guard. He's about to play some important minutes as Donovan Dent comes on for New Mexico. We talked about him. Centennial High School won a state championship from Riverside, California. He looks at Rice at the line. Drops them both in.
Max Rice, a 91% free throw shooter, 31 of 34 coming in here. And speaking of Dent, I always said as a head coach, when you play freshmen, by February you can't call him freshman anymore. And Dent has played in every game. He has not started any. But just how about playing against these two great low ball guards every day in practice? That's got to make Donovan Dent a better player.
Well, Donovan had 13, 6 rebounds, a pair of assists at St. Mary's before the New Year turn in 25 minutes in a win. Dropped 14 on Prairie View. He's had his big games.
Well, he's got 3 double-digit games, and he's coming off a 4-point game in that 20-point win over San Jose State.
He's got a D-up Shaver right now who takes it to him. He swats it away. Dent with the block.
How about that? That's really nice defense, individual defense by the freshman. And that's usually the last thing to fall in place for a freshman is guarding the ball. And he wasn't just guarding the ball. He was guarding a pretty handy senior point guard there in Shaver.
You got a coach's point. That's an 1,800 career point score. A man who scores 20 all the time, averages 14 this year, Marcus Shaver, with 5 assists. Mashburn up with it firm. He's got his 13 points. He's 5 of 14 from the floor.
And another great position rebound by Degenhardt. He doesn't get those ones, those memorable ones way up above the rim. He gets those ones that are underwhelming, but he gets a whole bunch of them.
Nearly taken away as the shot clock drips under 10. Degenhardt goes to the bucket.
I tell you, the Lobos have kind of turned it up a notch defensively. They're making it really tough, but yet you look up and Boise State's still up 5 points.
Freshman runs the offense. Mashburn tries to pitch in. Bang with the triple.
And that was over Albo, again, 6'8" with long arms. Boy, Mashburn is just automatic when he gets right there in that slot. Both he and House have scored over 1,000 points in their career, and they've got another couple of guys who could get to 1,000 this year.
Albo with the miss, Mash with the rebound. This crowd now providing a nice soundtrack as they've risen out of their seats.
Everyone on their feet.
All the way to the bucket. It's swatted away by Degenhardt.
Najee Smith really having an impact on this game on the glass and in the paint.
That's 11 boards for Alec.
Well, Albo has not scored a field goal yet. 0 for 5, 0 for 4 in the first half. And he's the guy that's been averaging over 15 in league play.
Whiting asks for the basketball. Dent with another block. Oh, baby.
Oh, that
Deze, they knock it free.
No call on that. I thought for sure that was going to be a back-to-back block.
Things get a little bit out of hand. Whiting waits to clear himself. And he misses a chance at 3. Great hustle. All the way. Hammered home. Ooh, Daisy.
Mashburn automatic in that spot there, and then watch back-to-back blocks by Donovan Dent, and watch the big dog run the court sawmill strong.
The energy's been incredible over the last couple of minutes of this contest. A nice run pulls it to 42 even.
Mashburn, Mr. Pull-Up right there, about a step further than what he really likes. Donovan Dent, back-to-back athletic blocks there, getting his team going the other way, and watch the big fella run there, and you got to let the big dog eat if he runs that way. Boise State 0 for their last 8 field goals, more than a 3-minute drought, and the Lobos on a 5-0 run.
Udeze, 11 points, 4 rebounds. He's got a chance to give his team the lead, turn it into a 3-point play. It would be the 8th lead change in this game.
Well, I'm telling you, if you're a fan and you don't like this game, I don't want to draw your name out in the Christmas giveaway, because you're hard to please. This is a classic here.
Who's going to get the coal in their stocking? Somebody will tonight. One of these two coaches will. And I'm going to tell you this. You can tell me what it all means. There's one of the coaches who's turned things around here, Coach Patino. Leon Rice, as he looks out at Udeze at the chance to turn it into a 3-point play. Morris with 11 points. Comes up short. Leon Rice has been working the officiating crew a couple of times at the end of halftime and then in this last time out.
We came out at halftime like something had happened, that he had security-wise almost in my mind. So I'm not sure exactly what that was all about. And that last time out, he and Greg Nixon having a pointed conversation, I would call that. Neither one of them out of control, but he has really been adamant.
Foul prior to going to the bucket. Udeze, that's his 3rd personal foul.
That could be big.
Speaking of big, a big fella's going to come on for a few minutes. Sebastian Forsling, young man out of Sweden, averages 2 with 2 rebounds.
Now his job right now, the big Swedish kid, is just to hold the fort. We don't expect you to do anything spectacular. Get in there and rebound and defend, and if you can get in a putback, put it back.
When he does earn time, he impacts the game. Advanced metrics tell us that when he's out there, his offensive rating very high. But it's limited playing time.
Shaver on what a pretty play. And that is just like a dagger in the opposing coach's heart. Anytime someone scores on an end out for you, and that was a pretty simple end out, but Shaver came off there and he was cocked and ready to let that one go.
Jenkins, tough roll that time.
Great block out by the Broncos. I've watched their shoot-arounds twice this week, and they work so hard on the game day shoot-around at blocking out, and you just don't see that very much.
Bullet pass and a beautiful pass from Shaver to Silla underneath.
I think Silla will go to the free throw line on that, where he is 3 for 3 for the year. He's a long old drink of water, I'm telling you. He's 7 foot. He's got arms from here to Hoboken. I mean, he takes up a lot of space around that basket.
Well, he's another one who impacts the game in his limited playing time, much like Forsling. Leon was telling us, Coach Rice, before the game, that he loves all his players. He loves the way that they work, and they work tirelessly. But he made it clear, our sum is greater than the whole of our parts.
You know, they know who they are. They know they have to play like a team, and they have to play together. And that's the one thing I would say about this Bronco team. You look at them, and you know they're not overly impressive, but boy, do they play well and have great chemistry.
Boise State up 4.
Leon Rice, last year's Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year, the second time he's won that award.
Offensive foul. You figured it could go either way.
No question.
Patino's furious.
You know, now you remember the flop call where Udeze got away with possibly a charge. And, you know, as a head coach, I used to tell the official, okay, we get the next close one because that could have went either way. So could have the flop call that they didn't call. So they've just kind of evened it out now. I think 2 of them it could have went either way, and 1 went toward each team.
Shaver has it taken away by Jenkins. They've got some numbers. Jenkins takes it all the way. The best 6th man in this conference last year with a bucket. He's got 5.
Jenkins had his best game this year against the other coach, Patino. 17 points in their win over Iona.
He dropped 26 on UNLV last year. Degenhardt looked like he might have traveled. Instead, he drops it home for a pair. He's got 10.
Kevin McHale in the post there. I told you, he is the ultimate wiggler. You think you got him stopped, he wiggles the other way. You get him stopped, and then he wiggles the other way.
Ashburn lost the handle. Whiting goes all the way. Had a few holding their breath for a moment.
Yes, Whiting was saying, you are not going to block this one. Lobo still trailing by 6 in a whale of a college game here in one of the best venues you'll see. Degenhardt with an oop-de-doop there, last year's freshman of the year.
Boise State has this crowd frustrated here at the pit. 6-point lead. Don't forget the NFL divisional playoff presented by Intuit TurboTax. They're on Fox starting tomorrow. Jalen Hurts leads the Eagles against the rival Giants at 7:30 Eastern. Then Sunday, it's Dak and the Cowboys renewing a classic playoff rivalry against the 49ers at 6 Eastern. All on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
They're in Boise State, who averages 8 made 3-point shots a game, and you and I talked about this game was not going to be decided from the 3-point line. They are but 1 of 11 for the game.
Their foes, New Mexico, 4 for 10. Wouldn't that be something if you go 1 of 11 and win the game?
You know, I keep thinking, you know, Lobos go on a run, the crowd gets into it. I keep thinking I'm going to look up and the Lobos are up 6. Instead, they're down 6. Boise State just continues to kind of keep their cool and play through it. Like I said, this is an old Boise State team, the defending regular season champ and tournament champ, and they have 4 of the top 6 players are 50-year seniors, so it isn't like they got a bunch of young kids running around out
This
there.
is a big opportunity for a player like Alec to really step up. They'll get him the basketball now. Leaning on him with his teammate on the bench, and Alec will go to the line and shoot a pair. You talk about who can step in. It's not just House and Mashburn anymore. It's the big fellas as well, including that man. So if you're just coming home from a fun but late night back east, let us tell you the key for Boise State. Leon Rice and his leadership handing the basketball to his son Max. It's been a good choice over the last couple of years, and Max has been huge tonight. Only 2 points in the first half, but 15. He really has stepped up.
And as I have said, he doesn't get enough credit for being the defender he is. Not only does he guard on the ball, he is a terrific off-the-ball defender. He's looking for his 4th game this year of 20 or more, and that's after coming off a 29-point career high. 6 of 7 from the 3-point line. I'm telling you, he has just kind of taken it to a different gear, different level since conference season has started.
And to say it properly, 2 in the second half, 15 in the first half. They've managed to handle him just a little bit in this second half, but he's been the key. Alec drops home the first, shoots 63% for the line on the year.
And you watch Max Rice bang around. He's playing with a bulging disc in his back. He's nothing if he isn't tough. Back home they'd say he's tougher than a pine knot, and I would buy into that every day.
Alec with 6 points and 13 rebounds. Jalen House is back onto the hardwood for the Lobos. Ian Shaver going nose to nose. And Shaver knows his foul count. Forrest Ling, boy, they are letting them bang underneath, aren't they? And a nice job by the big fellow defensively stopping Silla.
Two big guys that don't get a lot of playing time doing battle down there.
Mashburn lines it up for three. Drops it home.
You know, the Lobos have 3 of the top 5 scorers in the league, and of those 3, Darren, they are in the top 7 in field goal percentage. So sometimes you wonder if they're even going to miss a shot.
Shaver answers right back, though. Weaves right underneath the long arms of Alec.
Some guys are straight line drivers. Marcus Shaver is anything but a straight line driver. He changed pace, changed direction about 3 different times there in about 20 feet.
4 threes in the contest for Mashburn. That ties his career high. There's Jalen House. Haven't called his name a lot. He's got just 5 points.
You don't want to let him get started if you're a Bronco.
He was hoping to quiet him, but he didn't, and then a physical foul underneath. Kobe Young whistled that time.
Watch these 2 great point guards doing battle. Watch Shaver change pace, change direction, lay it back over his right shoulder, and then watch Jalen House. Between he and Mashburn, they wear that spot on the floor out, that 15 to 17 footer.
Key player back on the hardwood in Najee Smith, certainly a role player for this team, but he's played a nice role. Smith has 4 points. He's got 9 rebounds.
Yeah, Najee Smith, as I said, is one of those star role players that I used to call him. And boy, he plays hard. He's a good defender, averages just under 10 points. He's got his hands full here with Alec. He's having a pretty good night.
Look at Josiah! Up on my shoulders, and they're broad.
The Broncos may have to make a little adjustment in their post defense and come running him and double him, or at least make them think he's going to double him. You can ill afford to just let him back you down, and get to the rim.
Oh, Shaver really drained a huge triple. Traveling underneath, sends it back the other way. Shaver, I'm sure frustrated because he had Jalen House right out of his shorts. This big man, though.
Again, if you're going to let him just back you down, the rule of thumb is on that second dribble, someone's got to come help. And again, Boise State may have to make an adjustment on him because Alec's feeling pretty good about things tonight.
He looked like a giant crane laying a roof on a house there. Spread those legs wide, got the foundation underneath him.
Well, he's been very well coached. I don't know if that was in high school or at UMKC or both.
Jalen House is good TV when he's right.
And as I said, you don't want to let that guy get started. The Lobos on a run right now, taking a 3-point lead there.
House will talk to the crowd, the road crowd, the home crowd. He doesn't care.
He'll talk to anyone. Coach Petito was saying at San Diego State, he was talking to everyone in the stands. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, they're talking to me. I'm just talking back to them." Coach Petito said, "It really doesn't work that way, son." As I said, if you're a Bronco, you don't want to let him get started, but I think he is started now. And the Lobos, he's had back-to-back baskets, and now the Lobos with a 3-point lead.
3-point lead, an 11-2 run tomorrow on Fox. The Big Ten takes center stage. Chris Murray leads Iowa State against Ohio. It's Iowa, I should say, against Ohio State. The showdown begins Saturday at 2 Eastern on Fox. Iowa, Ohio State. It'll be a good one.
If I'm not wrong, I think Ohio State has lost 5 in a row, and all of them by close margin.
Last 3 games for Jalen House, all victories for his team. 7 points tonight.
Reigning player of the week in the league, and he has been on quite the roll. And listen to this crowd.
Largest lead for the Lobos. A beautiful footwork, step back, nearly drained, a big-time three. How about Degenhart trying to jump into the mix, and he gets the roll, and a hush comes over.
The Broncos had missed three good-looking jump shots there until Degenhart rolls one around and makes it go in. Mr. Clutch.
Look at the vision from House, and it's closed by Udeze.
Big fella's not going to miss many from there. I'm not sure how the Boise State lost him in that transition. Now keep in mind, that was after a made basket at the other end that someone didn't get matched up. Leon Rice can't be very happy about that.
Nice with a beautiful pass to Degenhart. Albo drops it out of bounds. Bringing down the roof, and that's what makes it so loud in here. The roof is very low, swallowing up the noise. It's electric tonight. New Mexico lighting up this town, this building, and they're up by just a pair, digging out of a hole. And a big part of it all night long has been Jamal Mashburn Jr., 19 points.
Jamal Mashburn now 41 straight double-figure games with 19 points, knocking on the door of his 8th 20-point game of this year. The conference leading scorer is showing you why he is the conference leading scorer.
Well, that's a fun graphic there. How about Luke Longley, a familiar name for basketball fans at the top. Consecutive double-digit scoring, those 19 points to go along with 4 rebounds. Jamal Dad had an amazing career collegiately, certainly, and then also in the NBA. Mom is Michelle. His dad scored nearly 12,000 points in the NBA, Dallas, Miami, Charlotte, New Orleans. 3 years at Kentucky, almost 2,000 points in college.
How about that? And they play a little basketball at Kentucky, if no one's ever told you. My last game as an assistant coach under Rick Majerus, we played Kentucky in the second round of the NCAA tournament at Vanderbilt. Jamal Mashburn was playing for Kentucky there, and I remember we put guards on him, we put post guys on him, we put 2 guys on him, and we couldn't do nothing with him.
House from Mashburn. Jalen gets the home bounce.
And Jalen House getting going now with 9 points. Remember, he had but 2 at halftime, and these 2 guards, the first and second leading scorers in the league, and they are leading this Lobo team now to a 5-point lead.
Let's watch Rice here. He was so big in the first half. This man's been big all year long, and there's a tip right behind. We talked about how important Smith could be when he came on. Najee with his 10th board.
I tell you, a lot of rebounding is just participation, and Najee Smith goes after every one of them. 10 rebounds now and 4 points. A lot of guys are good rebounders. They don't go after enough. He goes after a whole bunch of them.
There's an offensive foul. That is 4.
That's going to play big because he's going to have to go sit down a little bit now. Nice pass by Mashburn. House on a rhythm up shot, and here comes Degenhart and Najee Smith. Great follow, great participation in the rebounding game.
So now here's that man again. We look to Forsling, and all these Lobos fans look to a man who probably played a bigger role last year for the Lobos than he has this year. Rice somehow attempted that circus shot. You got a foul underneath. And that's key. Forsling kind of got knotted up with Najee. It's Najee who earns the whistle.
I tell you, KJ Jenkins has a lot to do with Max Rice not having a big second half. He's been on him like freckles on a redhead for almost this entire half and has held him to just 1 field goal. 14
fouls, Boise State, 7 for the Lobos. Bears mentioning as we get later in this contest.
Yeah, that could be big here in the last 6 minutes.
Jalen launches a 3. It's well off the mark. Another board, a huge night. Alec does it again.
How did he end up with that rebound?
Mashburn weaving through the crowd. It comes up empty. He looked like he was just going to dribble until he found a lot of day.
I tell you, a guy who's been almost non-existent tonight is Albo, the 6'7" junior for Boise. 1 of 8 and 3 points for the night.
I thought he heard you, Coach. Nearly dropped in a three, but he missed it. It looked like it was lined up.
0 for 3 from the three-point line now, and he started out like a house of fire. First 5 games in conference play, shooting 58% from 3 and averaging over 15. He's now had back-to-back games where he just has not produced a whole lot.
Degenhardt whistled for the foul a moment ago. That is 3.
Degenhardt 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and no turnovers.
House with 3, and Eze with 4. Got Jalen and his understudy on the floor together. There's Dent. Look at me, leader. I can pitch in right now.
You know what? That kid just gets better every week. And like I say, when we get to February, you can no longer call him a freshman. He has been very seasoned. No starts, but he's played in every game.
2 big block shots in this game. He's got 5 points. Degenhardt short. Mashburn grabs the rebound. We're at 5 minutes.
Boy, Boise State has not hit a jump shot since Moby Dick was a minnow. They must be about 0 for their last, or 1 for their last 10. Degenhardt did hit one about 3 minutes ago.
There was a drought of about 3.5. Another one at about 2.5. And Degenhardt ends that drought with a hard-fought basket.
You know, you got to go back inside against the Lobos, I think, because that's where Boise State's had their most success. But the jump shots they've shot there have all been good looks and have been shot well. They just have not gone down.
Tyson's got 15 points. Mashburn up with it quickly.
I'm telling you, all he needs is a crack in the door to get that off. And what a smooth delivery. He has great lift on his shot, great follow through. I mean, he is smooth on that jumper.
21 for Mashburn. Out of control, Shaver loses his way.
Mashburn's 8th game of 20 or more this season.
He's looking for an angle that's not there.
And he's got a really nice shot fake because he doesn't overstep that. It's really compact and he can go right to his shot when he needs to.
Josiah, those feet too busy, whistled for the foul. Mashburn has been huge in this contest. They've hopped on his back. His 21 points lead New Mexico State, and they lead by 5. 5-point New Mexico lead, and you know you want to look ahead. I mean, that's the best part about what Mike DeCourcy does. And you take a peek at this conference, and as he forecasts with his crystal basketball, seeing 3 teams in, I just remind all of you that currently there are 5 teams in this conference inside the top 35 in net ranking. That bears mentioning.
Well, I don't know about all the net ranking and the Ken Palm and the Billy Joe Palm, but they put 4 in last year, and the league's a lot better this year than it was last year, so that makes sense to me.
Is that BillyJoePalm.com? I find that?
You know, I
.org?
I have a little trouble with some of these. Well, they're in, they're out. You know, we still got 6 weeks left of the season. I think everyone's in right now.
Oh, you all want to look ahead. It's so much fun to do.
Right here is where I think Boise State's got to go. How about that? I should be a coach someday, huh?
Only 30 years under your belt. Degenhardt adds to his tally of 17.
Boise State's season low in threes. The only one even comparable to this is they were 3 of 12 against Washington State earlier in the year.
Jalen along the baseline takes a tumble and watches it go in.
Oh, is he heating up and can get acrobatic.
Young up with it quickly. Shavers underneath, follows his shot. Degenhardt will line up for 3. Bang, and he drops it home. What a huge bucket for number 2.
Shaver now with 7 rebounds, 10 points. The 6'2" guard is knocking on the door of a double-double. And watch Leon Rice just smile and take it all in. He is cool as the other side of the pillow.
Degenhardt's got 12 in the second half to lead all scores in this game. 12 in the second half. No one has more.
Watch this. Just lining this one up. And boy, someone dropped the ball and matchup there to let him catch and square up.
Tyson, Mount Spokane High School, Spokane, Washington. Twice he was the area's player of the year. He was an instant impact guy. Freshman of the year in this conference.
That's
9 times Freshman of the week.
And that's his season high, 20 points and career high. He was stuck on 19. He had 19 4 different times this year. This is the first time he's been able to get over the hump and get 20, and he's doing it at a pretty opportune time here. Team down 2 with 2.5 to go. This one is going to go to the wire.
With busy feet from Ashburn. Here he goes on his tour again. Shot clock at 8. House up over Degenhardt. He, like Degenhardt, is having an incredible second half, Jalen.
You know, and he is just fearless. He doesn't care who or how big you are in that paint. He is going to bring it right to you, all 6 feet, about 170 pounds of him.
Shaver nearly lost the basketball. Didn't travel, though. And a bank 3 off the glass. Thank you very much, says Kobe Young.
And Kobe Young says, this is where I bank. And how opportune was that? Now a 1-point lead with 1.5 minutes left.
Mashburn, 11 points second half. House with 12 in the second half. And Degenhardt with a dozen as well. Big important minutes for Dent, and he's answering the bell.
He has played terrific in this game. This may be the best game of his young career, and this being a huge game.
2 point guards on the floor for the Lobos. That 3 is a miss. Salek grabs the rebound. That's been a big story in this contest. He's got his 8 points, and his rebound tally is at 17.
How about that? He's gotten every long rebound tonight, it looks like. Boy, is he active.
Jaden likes it right there. And he's well emptying off the mark. Deze tried to save himself and couldn't do it. Knocked away from Rice. Dent steps in.
Well, Dent almost made a game-winning steal there. Down to 1 possession.
Shaver with a lob underneath, and it is a beautiful touch on the other end from Najee Smith.
Now Boise State's going to have to foul here immediately, kind of extend their defense, maybe go for a quick steal, and if they don't have it, then they've got a foul immediately.
What a gorgeous play that was. The assist, and it was shared very nicely.
Now, if you're Coach Pitino over in his huddle, you're drawing something up to get the ball inbounds. Remember, they've got 4 guys in against 5 defenders. I always like to back my guys up and give them a whole lot of room to run to that ball. And if you're Boise State, you go with your small lineup, switch everything, double team if you can, and then foul.
It's going to be interesting. Choices to be made, how quickly. Shot clock. It's done for the night.
Boise State with 1 timeout left, New Mexico with 2. Coaches like to hoard those timeouts for this situation exactly like this.
Both teams in the bonus.
And I like the way the Lobos have got those guys backed up where they give them a lot of room to run to the ball. And if they can't get it in, again with 2 timeouts, they'll get to about a 3.5 count and call timeout.
They get it into House. House manages to wiggle away.
They can't afford to wait much longer. 5 seconds went off the clock, which they might have been able to foul a little sooner, but not a whole lot.
One of the big stories in this game is House in his second half. 5 of 8 from the floor. He's got 3 assists and 12 points in 14 minutes. Remember, he had to sit for a bit with those 3 fouls.
Well, when he gets going, he comes at you like a blur. 84% free throw shooter. He leads this team in free throw shooting. And how about that?
Boise State can line it up for the win. Degenhardt takes it to the bucket, looking for the go-ahead shot. He comes up empty. The Lobos have it. Alternating possession. Lobos basketball, or did they get him with a foul? They got him with a foul.
Oh, I think Max Rice really wanted to let this one go. Degenhart with a good strong move there. Just Najee Smith almost coming away with it. Well, you can't ask for a much better opportunity when you have the Lobos' leading free throw shooter on the line at 84%, and he misses the front end of a 1-on-1. They had a great opportunity.
Looking for one of the best 20-game starts in this program's history. Should they hold on, it will be an 18-2 mark. Will knock Boise State from their perch. First one is good. San Diego State will move into the top spot, if only for a bit. Nevada, New Mexico.
Now, if he hits this, the big question on the Lobo bench, do you foul where they can't tie it up with a 3? I think less than 5 seconds, you do. Leon Rice, this is why you hoard a timeout. Watch him draw something up with a guy coming off the screen, curling to the basket for a look at the 3. But watch the Lobos. I think they're going to foul immediately and send Boise State to the free throw line where they can hit a 3 and tie it up.
Yeah, and Marcus Shaver has had a flair for the dramatic game-winning, game-tying shots in the final half minute of games. And look at how often he's done it. Ask Utah State, San Diego State, Colorado State. Big game shooter Shaver is always right there in the back pocket should they nudge it that way.
Well, in that last possession, he was bringing it down the right side, and boy, the Lobos gave a lot of help to him. He had to give it up. You know, I thought that was Boise State's last time out. They have one left. Look for them to throw it as far as they can down court, across half court, call another timeout, and then run a sideline out of bounds play.
Good shot of the Boise State fans that made the trip. They're hanging right behind Coach Rice's bench.
Boy, both teams just working up a storm. Boise State with 12 offensive rebounds tonight, 12 second chance points. Regardless of how you slice this one, this has been a whale of a college basketball game.
Couple of games on Fox 1 coming up for Boise, Fresno State, San Diego State. You can see what they're looking at over the next 5.
Now with Degenhart throwing it in, I'm thinking they're going to try to get it to half court. Watch Shaver curl off of this. Watch he and House having a little conversation here right in front of us. As you said, House will talk to the phone pole.
He can't nibble inside that veteran's head, though.
No, I don't think so. Shaver's having none of it. There's that pass going away. Timeout.
And there it was. Boy, well executed to Najee. Beautiful.
Well, you kind of knew with Degenhart taking it out, they were going to throw it long. You know, they have probably worked on that time and time again. They've probably tried guys out. Who has the best baseball pass from out of bounds? And obviously it was Degenhart. A lot of time left, 3.8. What I always thought, you could get a dribble per second. They can catch it and put it on the ground and maybe get all the way to the basket here. And I think that's probably what they don't have to have a 3 on the catch. They could dribble to one or penetrate and throw it to one. But they have to have a 3-point shot.
Trip to Reno coming up, couple with Air Force, Utah State as well. You can see they'll pull Boise State back should they hold on and win. They'll move even with Nevada as well. San Diego State will jump on top. Colorado State is at Wyoming on Fox Sports 1 tomorrow. UNLV's at Fresno State. San Jose State's at Utah State. And San Diego State is at Air Force tomorrow night.
Well, as I say, with all the prognosticators talking about who's in, who's out, there's still a whole bunch of basketball to be played here. And as I said earlier in the telecast, every weekend or every week you have a chance to play your way into contention or out of contention. You win a couple and all of a sudden, boy, you're back on top of things. You lose a couple in a row and you're back sucking ditch water again.
Mountain West Conference clearly playing like a Power 6 conference, if you will, this year.
They certainly are.
4.1 seconds put back on the clock. This crowd's been great tonight. Another nearly 15,000 coming through the turnstiles. The Pit, what a great destination. Put it on your bucket list if you love this sport.
There was a whole lot of folks coming into the hotel you and I are staying at from out of town just to come to this game.
Here we go.
Watch this box set here. Look for maybe a double staggered screen for Albo, it looks like, possibly.
They've got to nudge it outside. They do for Degenhardt.
And
he ties it up.
What a play from out of bounds, throwing it to Najee Smith, who that was almost like a hook and ladder play there, who just kind of shuffled it to Degenhardt. Holy moly, what a play.
Degenhardt from distance is 3 of 5 in the second half alone.
And what great execution from the Boise State bench. A little over 4 seconds left. They got to go the length of the court. They throw a strike to Smith, who calls a timeout, and then watch this little inside-out play. Alec was all turned around there. Man, was that a fine play.
1 second on the clock. Tyson Degenhardt, the spectacular sophomore. Of his 199 field goal attempts coming in, 66 were from 3, and he shot just below 30%. He's got 3 of them tonight.
Now look for the Lobos to throw it long with about a 1.3 seconds left. They can get a tip to maybe a guy cutting to the basket. This will be an old play. Look for the long pass, maybe trying to knock it down to one of the Lobos cutting to the basket, and then getting a prayer in the last 1.3 seconds.
That tiny crew is very loud over there right now.
Boy, that took the wind out of the sails here in this crowd. All of a sudden, they were getting ready to celebrate a great win. Now it's way back up in the air again.
House launches from long distance. It's well off the mark. We will play on in Albuquerque. The first overtime for both teams this year. And it all comes from a big man with those broad shoulders who made not 1, not 2, but 3 threes in the second half. Degenhardt. They're used to him playing in the paint. This is nowhere near the paint. There's your quick update. Tied at 72. Here is our game summary. The interesting thing about it is Boise State had been just bone dry from distance for a majority of the second half. Then they got hot at the tail end when it mattered most from long distance. That's some of the other keys.
Darren, I'm still just amazed at that execution on that last play by Boise State. I mean, it was a 2-part play where they throw it the length of the court, call timeout, and you're just not going to see it executed much better than that all season in college basketball.
Great shot of Degenhardt. 23 ties his career high as he chats with assistant coach Tim Duria. 5 minutes of magic or so, we hope, as Abu has that one knocked out of bounds.
And Degenhardt, for his big shot, gets rewarded with a little rest over there. They're going to rest him for a couple minutes, but not very long, maybe about 90 seconds before they get him back in.
He and Mashburn each with 23 points to lead in this game. Those feet got busy, and he'll turn it over.
Well, that's a tough break there on your first possession of overtime. Now they really need to dig in defensively, and they need to kind of put the stops on this guy right here. House is really heated up. Look for him to be extra assertive here in overtime. He loves these big moments.
Both these teams, 11 turnovers. Been a pretty clean game in that area. That's about what both of them average.
Shaver doing a great job of keeping the ball out of House's hand.
25 for Mash.
Man, oh man, is he efficient on that pull-up. And that was over a guy 6'8". That is just almost automatic for him.
Let's see if Shaver comes up there. Silla again with the foul on an aggressive screen.
Back-to-back turnovers. That is not a good way to start the overtime. Look at this stop on a dime, jump up, great follow through, great lift on that jump shot. That is 10 times as smooth there for Mashburn.
Season high 25 points. He had 29 last year against Utah State. The super freshman, Donovan Dent.
Dent coming up in a big, big way tonight. California's Mr. Basketball. What a good-looking freshman.
He's got 10, and everything he's done feels like it's had a huge impact on the game.
That's his fourth double-figure game of his young career, and he picked a pretty good time to do it.
That worked beautifully for Degenhardt because he got hot from three. He pulled all the defense far away from the bucket. Udeze was 25 feet away from the basket. He went right around him.
You know, he's not one of those guys you say, boy, he blew by him for that layup. He just kind of walks by it, and he really knows how to use his body.
Ben pulls himself together. Mashburn up quickly with it again. Alec does have those 17 rebounds. Missed an opportunity that time. Lobo's up 3.
Max Rice ultra quiet this half. Only 2 in this second half. And that's a good call. I think that was a foul, but the way they've been letting them play, I'm a little surprised that was called that way, although I think that was the correct call.
That's fair. I think that's 100% fair what you just said.
Yeah.
That is a foul.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like it'd been a foul much tonight.
I mean, it's been rougher than a cob all night out there, and all of a sudden they just kind of, you know, decide, oh, we're going to tighten it up here in overtime.
Again, for those of you viewing at home, rougher than a cob was the reference made just a second ago.
That's rough, brother, let me tell you.
3-minute mark. I'll move on from it quickly, though. So fun to see the choice to play the 2 point guards side by side.
I'm not sure they've played them together all that much this year, but boy, it's been effective. Najee Smith on a rejection. He's had some very impressive plays tonight.
He's got a shot to line up the triple.
Bang.
And it rings in and out.
And that's kind of been the way Boise State's luck has gone on their jump shots this half. They've had some great looks, and they've shot them good, and they have rolled around the rim, but they have not been very consistent with them other than Degenhardt's game-tying 3.
Najee's got 8 points and 13 rebounds. Jalen to the house. Jalen puts it home.
Just fearless. 6 foot and just fearless. He doesn't care who's in there. Wow.
Lobo's up 5. Rice looking for some numbers. Arm off the back of the iron. Udeze grabs the rebound as he crumbles down for a moment.
Well, Udeze went up and snatched that one. The conference leading rebounder. And as I say, he is a man's man when he decides to go get it.
He's got 13. He's got 5 boards.
He's probably going to miss having his 5th straight double-double. But he has had a huge impact physically in this game.
Smith backs that one away. Beautiful bullet pass underneath, and Jalen House almost picked it off, but he didn't.
Jalen House almost got there, as you say, but what a great pass by Shaver. He picked that up with one hand and just put that thing on a line.
Chibuzo Abu, the Texas Tech transfer, his 5th point.
He's been pretty quiet after getting off to a great start in conference play.
Averaging 12 overall all year long.
Speaking of great defense here, Shaver getting over that ball screen was terrific.
Couple of key empty possessions for New Mexico.
Lobo's right back where, Boise State right back where they ended that regulation, down 3.
Gonna call a timeout.
Now, in this situation, they don't have to have a 3. They can get a 2 and then play the foul game. And I would suspect that's what Leon Rice would choose to do. It worked last time with Jalen House missing the front end of a 1-on-1, although I wouldn't want to bet my mother-in-law's car keys he's going to do that 2 times in a row. But again, they don't have to have a 3. I think they take what's best there, and they dribble drive it. If they can get to the basket, that's good. If they can kick it out and knock down a 3, obviously that's better.
Mexico with 8 fouls. Boise State with 10. Keep that in mind too. You think about the strength of this conference as it flexes again tonight. And the average ranking again locks them into that top 5 spot. When you look at the average net ranking, 93, and that's thanks to improvement of teams like San Jose State.
No question. The bottom of this league now, the hard luck Cowboys are a different deal. Boy, picked second in the league, and they have had buzzer's luck all year with injuries. But as you say, San Jose State so much better. Air Force so much better. The bottom of this league is very, very strong.
Well, that's key when you're cannibalizing one another in that schedule. Yeah. You go play somebody that's 280 in the net, that crushes you.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Those days are gone now. Yeah. Foul trouble. Degenhardt's got 4. Abu shares with Shaver, turns the corner. Degenhardt goes to work right to the bucket, and he puts it home.
And he gets
so
fouled.
Confident.
What a turn of events with Degenhardt now with a chance to tie it up yet again. They ran that little pick and pop for Shaver to kick it back to Degenhardt. Degenhardt measured it up. Nice ball fake there by Degenhardt, and a great finish. Look at him use his body here. I didn't think that was going to go in. That was like a one cushion pool shot there with a little English on it.
4 on Alec. Degenhardt ties it.
How about that?
Ties it again. He's the one who brought us here.
Last year's freshman of the year, honorable mention all conference last year. Look at Dent, just playing like a savvy veteran as the freshman from California.
Dent loses it along the baseline, regains possession, and a call a timeout by Pitino.
With
3.5 seconds to go, Richard Pitino calls timeout.
Boise State, great individual and team defense there. Abu doing everything he could to keep that ball out of Mashburn's hands, and with good reason. Mashburn has been just terrific with that pull-up jump shot all night.
Standings in play, net ranking in play. And then when you look at the work of Mike DeCourcy, you see the teams that, as you look at it now, the last 4 in, first 4 out, next 4 out. Teams like Penn State and Central Florida playing huge games the rest of the way. USC, Northwestern, Kentucky, OU, as they take a look at the clock one more time.
Can you fall into all 3 of those categories, be the last one in, then the first one out, and then as I said, I kind of get tickled a little bit with so much basketball left to play. I guess it's a good game to play. Who's in, who's out, who's first in and last out. But let's wait till about the 1st of March and start figuring it out.
4.0 on the clock. So much value in content, though, Coach. Content is king.
Thank you. You know, I don't know which I've enjoyed more, the game or working with you, because I've learned so much, especially about content.
Well, I've learned about basketball from you. That's the more important part. Here we go.
And corncob.
4 seconds.
What a finish. We've had a great finish to regulation and another great finish to overtime here. I'm predicting we're going 2 overtime.
Looking for Mash, it's not there. Odesi gives the Lobos the lead. Beautiful inbound pass. Shaver looks for a bucket. Off the mark. New Mexico wins it.
Max Rice switched out off of the ball to pick up Mashburn. A good play, knowing that they were going to go to Mashburn, and then Udeze slipped right to the basket. What an unbelievable finish.
The Lobos are 18-2.
Max Rice again switching out there. Good idea from the Boise State bench. And Udeze just read it and hits the game winner.
He finishes this night with the biggest bucket of all, but 15 points and 5 rebounds. Got in foul trouble early on in this second half. They managed his time. Game-winning layup. 2 seconds to go in overtime for Morris Udeze.
You know, Najee Smith had a chance there. He reached at the ball. If he doesn't reach and just kind of is the goaltender there, he might have been able to prevent that. But boy, in the moment there, that's hard to make that decision. What a great college game.
When things are right, the Pit is one of the best destinations in college basketball. Guess what? Things are right in Albuquerque.
Without a doubt.
He's Joe Cravens. Loved working with him and our entire crew. It's been fun to bring this game to you. I'm Darren Sutton saying so long from Albuquerque. New Mexico wins it by a pair. Remember, join us tomorrow for more great college basketball action. It's Georgetown and Xavier, then it's Ohio State and Iowa. This has been a presentation of Fox Sports, your home for all your college basketball action. Have a good night.